So you think about buying the MiG-21 Lazur-M for War Thunder, or you already bought it, and you want to know how to use it effectively to grind out the German tech tree. In this guide, I will explain the basics of high-tier air realistic battles and the method I use to grind more than 850,000 research points and 9.5 million Silver Lions. Now let's start with the loadout. I recommend you bring 4 or 60 MKs and 2 napalm bombs, which is enough to destroy a base. I recommend not taking the R3Rs. They might look good on paper, but are basically worse IR missiles that warn the enemy. You also shouldn't take the R13s, even though some other guides recommend them, since they are difficult to use and can't turn very well. Also don't take the R3Ss, since they are even worse. Now let's talk about the settings you should have binded when using the MiG-21. Obviously you need flaps, the air brake, and the gear for landing. I recommend F for flaps, H for air brake, and G for gear. For battle you need space for dropping bombs, Control for unguided rockets, Alt plus X for locking the air-to-air missiles, Alt plus Control for firing them, and Z for releasing countermeasures. Semicolon for toggling the cannon ballistic computer, and specifically for the MiG-21 turning of the radar, which I have binded to Alt plus C. I also recommend turning off all of the instructor features, since they mess with the control of your aircraft. For gameplay, I only recommend air realistic battles, since arcade is way too chaotic and won't help you very much, since it gives you less rewards, and the ability to respawn probably doesn't help you if you only have a MiG. Before you spawn, you should set your flare and chaff to 32 and 32. You should also bring fuel, since Afterburner uses much more than normal engine power. If you need to take off from the airfield, go full Afterburner, don't use flaps, and pull up around 300 kilometers per hour or 190 miles per hour. While gaining speed, you can look if you got an up tier or a down tier by pressing tab and hovering over the vehicle name of your teammates. Also press Alt plus E to turn off the radar, since it is useless and helps the enemy spot you. After taking off, press G to retract your landing gear. Then open your map with M and look for the closest enemy base and fly towards it. Now look at the statistics again by pressing tab and look for aircraft that are faster than you and can carry bombs, for example the F-104 or the Tornado. Now you can relax, keep your finger on the W key, and watch out that you don't overspeed. If you get an air spawn, you do the same things as when you take off, except for the gear and flaps part. By the time you get close to the middle of the map, indicated by the line of ground targets, you dive down close to the ground to evade missiles easier. On the way there, you can press semicolon to activate the cannon ballistic computer, which makes you able to see where your bullets will land and aim at a ground target and take it out. After doing that, you can turn it off again. While you're near the enemies, you absolutely have to be aware of your surroundings and look out for planes that head in your direction. If they fire missiles at you, turn off the afterburner by releasing the W key and press Z1 to 3 times for flares and chaff to evade the missile. There are 2 exceptions to this rule, one being the F4S and the other the Mirage F1C. If one of these 2 aircraft fire missiles at you, you should get very close to the ground, since these missiles can't be chaffed easily. The missiles will explode above you and you won't get hit. This is called multipathing. For making it easier to stay close to the ground, I recommend using the barometric and radar altitude setting in the Air Battle Settings tab and Options. As you get closer to the base you want to bomb, make sure to have your Mach speed below 1 to be able to drop the bombs. If you don't slow down fast enough, you can use the air brake by pressing H, but don't forget to retract it later. Then you can bomb the base. Since the MiG-21 has no bomb computer, I recommend slightly diving towards it and then releasing the bombs and pulling up. After bombing the base, you can turn around and start fighting people. After some time, the base will burn down and you will get the rewards. Now that we have reached the combat zone, we can start firing our missiles at the enemy by pressing Alt plus X and aiming at an enemy. If the circle around the missile turns red and is still centered on the enemy, fire the missile by pressing Alt plus Control. I recommend firing the missile at a distance of less than 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles away from the enemy. If the missile locks onto flares, press Alt plus X again and aim at the enemy again to make the missile hit him with a greater possibility. I recommend firing missiles at planes perpendicular to your direction of flight or on large packs of enemies to reduce the risk of the enemy noticing the missile. While you do that, remember to be aware of your surroundings and evade missiles by flaring and chaffing. If the enemies get close, you should try to shoot them with your gun, but remember, you have to lead the target and factor in bullet drop. If you run out of missiles like me here, you should return to the airfield to rearm. If you reach the airfield, you need to know how to land properly. You start by leaning up your plane with the runway and reducing your speed by reducing your engine power, and if necessary, use the air brake with H. By the time your plane reaches 400 kilometers per hour or 240 miles per hour, you can lower your gear with G and set your flaps to landing with F, but you have to pay attention on your speed so that you don't stall and crash. Once you touch down, hold down S until you stop moving. After you have stopped, the plane will be rearmed, refueled, and repaired. After you respawn at the start of the runway, you can take off like normal again. If you destroy one base and one enemy plane with a premium account, you will earn around 4,000 RP and 35,000 SL. For ground battles, I recommend 4R, 60 MKs, and 2S, 24 rockets. While in battle with the MiG-21, I recommend staying close to the ground to avoid detection and pulling up and then diving down on the enemies at the tank battlefield. Then if you have spotted an enemy, aim the X from the rocket ballistic computer at the enemy and press Control to fire the rockets and then pull up again. Use the missiles in your guns to destroy enemy aircraft. Make sure to buy the MiG-21 in a sale where it is 50% off, and also be aware that you get 20 days of premium time that you should make good use of. In conclusion, in air battles, you should bomb bases then attack enemies. In ground battles, you should hug the ground and destroy tanks and enemy aircraft. You should always pay attention to your surroundings and flare and multipath if necessary, while only firing missiles at unaware targets. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to my channel.